What is up, gang? We're back. Episode 9. We're almost to double digits here. It's hard to believe that. We're in the dead period, folks. We are officially dead. Sports are dead unless you're a baseball fan.
No one's a baseball fan.
You're probably dead if you are a baseball fan. But we're back with you for another episode of Teeing It Up with C and V. I'm C, and as always, I'm here with Mr. Vladi. Vladi, how was your weekend? How's it going, bud?
Weekend was good. Went up north to a friend's cottage, had a lot of fun there. We chilled. Other than that, I worked from home today, so it's really nice. Have that set up for Mondays and Fridays, or the Fridays that I do working from home. So now I do have a kind of extended weekends, and that makes it so much easier waking up at 7:55 on a Monday as opposed to 6:30 on a Monday. So I'm just kind of excited to kind of have that new regime in place and kind of go forward with it. What about you? How was your weekend? How's life? Anything new?
Yeah, nothing new. My sister's graduation party was this weekend. Lots of people. Good to see family that you don't normally see. We had a bit of a party afterwards. It was a great time. That's it. And then this week I get a 3-day week. I'm taking Thursday, Friday off, and then I have next Monday and Tuesday off for the national holiday called Independence Day. I believe that's when our country was founded.
You get Tuesday off as well?
Yes, I do.
Oh, wow.
I have a 6-day weekend and then 2 3-day weeks in there.
That's beautiful. I'm jealous.
Yeah, it's electric, as the kids say these days, which we'll get into what the kids are doing for our list later today. But let's talk about the sports news since we finished off on a lot of that stuff. I'm going to start with the hockey. That ended last night. We have a new team hoisted the Stanley Cup last night. The Colorado Avalanche defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. They won on Sunday night 2-1. Since we haven't talked, that's after they won the overtime. Was it overtime?
I think Game 4 was overtime.
Game 4 was overtime to go up 3-1, and then the Friday night game was an awesome hockey game. 3-2. Palat gets his 3rd game winner of the playoffs. Late in the 3rd to send it back to Tampa for Game 6. And a game where Tampa in Game 6 looked like they were the better team early on. And again, the speed of Colorado, which I've mentioned on every single podcast, I think ended up prevailing. The dog did his thing. Nate Dog McKinnon had 2 points in this one, a goal and an assist. And he was good, not great the entire series. And it was good to see him end on a great game. A couple of notes. Darcy Kemper was really good in Game 6. I thought he was a big reason why they won after he was kind of mediocre at best most of the playoffs. The Conn Smythe Award, which is the MVP for the entire playoffs, that went to Cal McCarr, and this is going to be another podcast of me licking Cal McCarr's chops. He's the greatest. He's so special. He did it all Stanley Cup Finals long. He was the greatest player on the ice. It's only the he was the first unanimous voter in the 6 years that they've disclosed the vote, how many votes everyone got. He's the first in those 6 years to have every single vote, which is a bit of an interesting story. He got that. So Gabriel Landeskog, the captain, was given the Stanley Cup last night. Some interesting quotes I thought that were fun. Nazem Kadri, people were talking about how he was a liability come playoff time. He didn't have a ton of experience in the playoffs. He was notoriously ejected from very early on in the first round last year and got a 6-game suspension. So he didn't play a lot of last year's playoffs, and they choked to, I believe, Vegas. But he responded in an interview as they were giving the cup out. He said, it's something along the lines of to all the haters that said I was a liability in the playoffs, F you, on the mic. And nice. Pretty cool quote. The other one was Nathan McKinnon, who's a Sidney Crosby jockstrapper. They're from the same small hometown of Cole Harbor in Nova Scotia. It's notorious. McKinnon built a house right next to Crosby. Built a sick new gym. But works out in Crosby's crappy old gym because it's Sidney Crosby and he's his idol. I think he's 8 years younger than Crosby. Crosby's 34 and he's 26 or 27. But he said, I was He goes, quote, "I was the drunkest guy at two of Sid's three Stanley Cup parties, and I fully expect him to be the drunkest at mine."
That's
Fun.
amazing.
So it's just they have such a special relationship between like. It's also another funny thing before I go into the relationship is it says on like "Welcome to Cole Harbor," it says "Home of Sidney Crosby." So hopefully now that he has one Stanley Cup, he can afford to get on that sign. But it's really a special bond. You don't really see that in a small city to have two number one overall picks within 10 years of each other. Not necessarily the same generation, but like pretty close. I mean, so it's and to be that good of friends is just a really cool relationship. And the Sidney Crosby legacy lives on even when other teams are winning the cup. For Tampa, I don't think this is the end necessarily. It is the end of the quote unquote dynasty. They did not get the three-peat. They really only lose Andre Palat of significance. They'll lose probably Nick Paul, who's a great up and down the lineup player, but somewhat replaceable, I think. The harder player to replace will be Palat. He played his way into a contract that Tampa won't be able to afford. They are in the negatives already for the cap this year, and that's needing to add players to the roster. So there's going to have to be someone's getting moved, and young players are going to have to step up if they want to, get back there. I will say Sergachev and Anthony Cirelli are RFAs after next year. Killorn is a UFA after next year. So they're going to have a lot of stuff they have a decent amount of stuff to address right now, but they're going to have a ton of stuff to address after next year. So I still think this is a contender for at least next year. I don't think they'll be quite as good. This was the worst team. This was the worst third and fourth line, although the fourth line was not the problem. This was the worst depth that the Tampa Bay Lightning have had. It's the same core, but it is the worst depth of three Stanley Cup, final teams that we've seen over the past 2 years. And I think that really showed not only that, but Colorado was special, and I think it's the beginning of their dynasty, so to speak. So congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche. I'm sure there was a lot of beer drunk out of that cup last night, so good on them.
I did have one question. So with Makar and McKinnon, who would you say is better? Would you say it's Makar?
Yeah, Makar. So if I had to go players in the league right now, I'd go McDavid, and then Makar's right there after. He's just, for what he does as a defenseman, it's just so unique. McKinnon is just that same fast, strong, so quick with the puck. Great shot too. But Makar as a defenseman is something that it's just so freakishly unique. I think he's the second best player in the league right now. And then I would say Austin Matthews is probably the third best player, and then Nathan McKinnon is probably fourth.
Okay.
That's how I would roll right now. So rolling into the NBA draft was last Thursday. Troy Weaver, the Detroit Pistons, got on God status. I think he just put Al Avila's grave has already been dug.
I don't think it has. I think Chris Ilitch, because he's such a bad owner, is like, you know what, just keep trotting it out there. Let me keep collecting my $40 million team valuation every year just because I'm a part of this. I think I told somebody, Al Avila's got to miss the times of Ken Holland, Stan Van Gundy, and Bob Quinn, when all of the stupid decisions he could make could be hidden because everyone else was making stupid decisions. Now in Detroit, we've got 3 GMs who are smart, who do things that you actually think, wow, that's a shrewd move. That helps us in the future. Meanwhile, I don't think Al Avila has ever made one of those moves, and I'm not going to count taking Casey Mizer Torkelson number 1 because it's a number 1 pick. You better get it right.
And they were objective, like any other team in the league was taking them. So it doesn't really count for me. But Troy Weaver, that is, had what people are saying are the draft of the night. They're saying the Pistons are the big winner. We don't get that much. It's so funny because we're so excited over. Again, I said this one about Mo Sider winning the Calder Trophy in a blog I wrote. It's we get so excited over the silliest, smallest things.
That's all we have right now until our teams start winning.
One good draft, and we think you would think that we're in Denver right now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, but to kind of go off on that, the NBA draft, obviously last Thursday, I always get super like weirded out the way the NBA draft trades their picks. So instead of trading the rights to the pick, you trade the player after you take it. So the guy that we took at 13, Jalen Duren, we didn't actually take. He got up there on the stage with the alien that is Adam Silver, and he had a Charlotte Hornets hat on. Then he got dealt to the New York Knicks, and then he got dealt to Detroit. When I just don't understand why it is the way that it is. Maybe it's something with the fact that you're dealing with guaranteed contracts, whereas in the NFL you're dealing with certain teams having to pay certain money depending on what's going on. I don't know, but that always kind of weirds me out. But yeah, like you mentioned, the Pistons were seen as the team that had the best draft, and they got some help. So I just kind of wanted to run through kind of the first couple picks, then maybe some more notable ones, whether it be hometown players or just interesting stories as it went down. The first surprise of the night actually ended up being at number 1. For the longest time, Jabari Smith was supposed to go number 1. However, as he got up there, he read the Adam Silver read Paolo Banchero is the number 1 pick. And it's a good pick. I think Paolo has the highest ceiling or the highest floor of kind of like the big 3, 6'10", 250. He can move, he can create his own offense. And I guess the only thing I can really say is it's unfortunate that he has to live in Orlando for the next 4 years. Not a great place to be.
No income tax.
After that, you had Chet going number 2. Also, again, with the big 3, there really wasn't any bad picks. Each guy can do stuff well. While they might not be that guaranteed kind of superstar that you might see, they're a great, I'd say, B+ player, or they can all be great B+ players. Chet, I think going to OKC, though, for him is the best fit because they have the most amount of picks and they have that timeline that can be stretched over to give Chet time to grow into that NBA body if he's going to do that, or to just get ready and to play with other young guys.
Good point.
Yeah, so like I said, Jabari Smith going to number 3, great shooter. Him and Jalen Green will be fun in Houston, but that wasn't really no real big surprises. You knew who the first 3 were going to be. And then at number 4, the Sacramento Kings. Everyone in life has that family member or friend that really makes stupid life choices. And that's the Sacramento Kings in the NBA. Keegan Murray's good. I don't think he's number 4 in the draft good. Certainly not when Jaden Ivey's still on the board. I don't understand why you don't just take Jaden Ivey. Even if you can't play him, try and facilitate a deal afterwards for Keegan Murray that you can get more back. I don't know why they did what they did, but that's Detroit's game because I think all of us were kind of sitting around. We're hoping, will they do it? Will they mess it up? How will they mess it up? And Adam Silver got up there. He said Keegan Murray from Iowa, and I think there was a collective scream from the entire state of Michigan realizing Jaden Ivey is going to be a Piston.
Yeah. So on Keegan Murray, do you know anybody on the Sacramento Kings right now?
De'Aaron Fox and who's the point guard they drafted last year?
Could you name 5 players that have ever played for the Kings?
I think I could name ever. I mean, I'd have to go pretty far back. DeMarcus Cousins, Peja Stojakovic from like the 2000s. I mean,
we're at 3 guys right now, Vladi, over 20 years.
I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name. They used to have Tyrese Halliburton. They dealt him because they found a backcourt that they liked as opposed to him. But to be completely honest, I don't think I can. Marvin Bagley played there. He's a Piston right now. There's 5.
More my point being that they're the most irrelevant franchise in all of sports.
Yep.
Talk about that family member. Well, this is just the general person in your life. It could be you. It could be like Sally's best friend's cousin that you know. That's how far down the line it could be. Literally, think about the person that you see on television that's always in jail. Like think about like Kwame Kilpatrick, what he did for years. The Sacramento Kings are that in the NBA, in the realm of sports, not just the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. To kind of go, I want to go 2 other picks past that real quick. So at number 6, you had Benedict Mathurin from Arizona. I really, really liked him. I thought he was a human highlight reel. He can shoot off screens really well. And I just felt like if he was one of those guys where if he locks in defensively, he could be a Jaylen Brown type player. I think that's a good pick for Indy. It gives them a good piece. And to be honest, I kind of wish we could have had him, but that was under the assumption that Jaden Ivey would have been gone.
Mhm.
Obviously, Jaden Ivey's not there, and you have to take the guy who has that John Morant type build and John Morant type of kind of basketball prototype. Other than that, you had Shaden Sharp at number 7 go to Portland. He's kind of the big question mark. We've said it a million times. No one's seen him play in a year. I actually wouldn't be shocked if he ends up getting traded. I don't think he fits Portland's timeline. Damian Lillard's, I think, 32, 33 years old. They don't have 3 years to wait to figure out if Shaden Sharp can play. I think you deal him for someone who, I'm not going to say a star, but for kind of that third piece that you can put onto a contending or hopefully championship team. Other than that, I do want to go down to 13, just because that's back where the Pistons are in play. Jalen Duren. Wow, the Jeremy Grant trade looks great now. So we all hoped that trading Jeremy Grant could get us a pick in the lottery. And when we traded him for the 2025 pick in Milwaukee, everyone was like, "What's going on?" But it's kind of that joke that everyone sees. It's where you use the wrong formula, but you get the right answer. Troy Weaver, instead of making one trade for a lottery pick, made 2 trades for a lottery pick. We dealt the 2025 first round pick to Charlotte. I want to say New York gave some picks to Charlotte, and then we took on Kemba Walker's expiring deal because we have the cap space. That let us get Jalen Duren for basically nothing. We traded Jeremy Grant to win an expiring deal, a player that wouldn't fit our timeline, into somebody that can become DeAndre Ayton. He can be that Robert Williams type player that the Boston Celtics have. So it was a great draft, great trade. I don't understand how Charlotte was okay with this, because I mean, they're trying to re-sign Miles Bridges and they didn't dump any salaries. They got rid of no contracts in the process. They just acquired picks.
Well, did you hear what the new coach said about Miles Bridges?
What'd he say?
He said if he wants to continue that rap stuff, he can go ahead and sign with Detroit. We don't care.
Wow. I mean, that's very, very interesting.
So Jalen Duren, to me, I looked it up. He's one of the youngest players in the draft. He's been done. He's not even going to be 19 until after the season starts.
Exactly.
Someone that can be a good player down the road and can be a good 5, I think. But he is going to be a bit of a project. He's going to be 3 to 4 years, maybe even having to play G League at some point. I don't think he's a guy that comes in and plays big minutes this year or next year for that matter. But I think he's a good body and has all the physical tools to be that player when he's 22, 23.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It's just I might push the timetable up by a year. I don't think he sees the G League. I don't think he's going to walk into a starting role at 18, because if he does, great for Detroit, because that means he's well ahead of what everyone's thinking. But you're right. He is that second or third or maybe even fourth year guy where he finally makes that leap. But I think he was the best lob threat in college. Like, you watch some of the highlights, they're throwing the ball into the 15th row and he jumps up and catches it and dunks it.
Mm-hmm.
The physical tools, like you mentioned, are great. He can be that Ayton type player. And yeah, it'll take some time. I could see him being that backup center behind Isaiah Stewart for the first year, and you see where you go from there. I don't see why he can't play in year 2, though.
Screw Isaiah Stewart. If Troy Weaver does not get Miles Bridges or DeAndre Ayton, the draft was for naught.
So I agree, and at the same time, I was reading, what if they passed on those 2 guys and instead went for more veteran-based players who are better shooters? Because if you take DeAndre Ayton and you play him with Jalen Duren, there is no fit there for the modern-day NBA.
But Jalen Duren isn't a guarantee. He's if he comes down and then 3 years from now he's a great backup center, that's still a win for you. You win in the NBA with superstars. That depth worked for the Boston Celtics. They lost. to a team with superstars.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, but I also don't think either Bridges or Ayton is – they're certainly not Steph Curry, and they might not be Klay Thompson. I just think that with the offensive fit that Ayton gives you, he limits what you can do on the other four positions because he can't shoot, and you have to surround him with guys that can stretch the floor so that he's not getting double or triple teamed on every possession. Again, I'm not going to sit here and hate anything that we do for now. I think we're set up in a great place where we can work with so many different options because you have the pieces in play.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that I'd love to see what happens in free agency. I have no idea what's going on. You've got rumors that, like I said, I've seen rumors they might not go for him. There's rumors that Ayton's already a lock to be in Detroit. You've got Charlotte's coach telling Miles to leave because they don't want a rapper, they want a player. So I'm just curious to see what happens in free agency when it opens in a couple weeks. But other than that, I guess maybe we can talk about the kind of the local guys. You had Caleb Houston go at 32. Could be a good 3-and-D guy in Orlando. I think that's a good place for him because there really is no expectations. You're going into the worst team in the league. It gives you some time. Yeah. Max Christie at 35 was really interesting because the Lakers traded into the draft to take Max Christie, and obviously everyone here might be a little perplexed about that because he is a little bit inconsistent. He is that project type guy, and with LeBron James at 39 and Anthony Davis, who might not be on the court the whole time, you don't need projects. You need guys who are going to come in and produce to help complement your two-star players.
You also need like shooters. Like you had Russell Westbrook and guys that couldn't shoot around LeBron this year, and you saw how that worked. He missed the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, Max Christie can shoot.
Max Christie shot like 35%.
Yeah. I mean, hey, he can shoot. It's the consistency. He's a young kid. He's got time to improve. It's just I don't know if the timeline necessarily fits the location. I think he would have been better suited for one of those teams that has a future plan that's 2-3 years down the road, not a team that we're 2-3 years down the road you're just hoping or you're expecting to be nothing because LeBron's gone and Anthony Davis is in a cast again.
But in the same breath, I think like there's no expectation for him to come in and actually have to put up points like somebody like on a bad like a Caleb Houston who's going to be expected to play a larger role right away. Yes, like there'll be patience in him actually succeeding, but yep. Max Christie could play that smaller role and build into a smaller role per se because he's only going to be trusted in a smaller role on a team, and maybe he gets a smaller role.
Yeah, I could see it. Other than that, you had Moussa Diabate going to the Clippers. I guess it's good energy guy. I don't really know what else to say. The Clippers are an interesting team when healthy. Obviously, last season they were not. Kawhi did not play. Paul George, I think, missed some of the season. When they come back, who knows? Maybe they're that I want to say sleeper team of Kawhi Leonard on your roster, but maybe they're that team that people forgot about, kind of like the Warriors, where the injuries hurt you a lot and you end up kind of throwing your away. But when your guys get back together and healthy, maybe something works out, maybe something doesn't. I don't know, not really much to say there. Obviously, no Gabe Brown. He did sign after the draft to a 2-way deal, I believe. He's got a shot. I mean, he can catch and shoot really well. He can defend. He's got the length. It's just, can he produce?
Who did he sign with? I didn't even know that he signed.
Part of me wants to say the Thunder, but I'm really not certain. I just saw that it was one of those where show up to the summer league, drop down to the G League after that, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, it's kind of exactly as we predicted.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of what I have for the NBA draft. I don't know if there was anything else you wanted to talk about, or
no, we covered all the local guys. I think we're good on that. So moving on, it was the weekend of the champion, it felt like. First of all, I want to say I didn't watch any of it. The Travelers, the golf tournament, Xander Schauffele shot a -19 this weekend. How's that even fun? That golf, I probably could have shot even par at that golf course. A 17 handicap can go out there and shoot 85 on a course like that.
Yeah, no, I think that might be one of those things that keeps golf, or that makes it like tough to continuously watch golf when it's not a major, is you've got those guys who walk around the course and they just tear it up on 90% of the tournaments they play at.
So there's a part of me that like, actually, I kind of like that because like you see like the US Open, like guys get tearing up, like less than 10 guys are under par. Like that's awesome. That's fun to watch. But there's also a part of me that like I want to see, like it's so hard to tell how good they are on TV sometimes. Like I want them to go out and play like my local muni course and see them, watch them go shoot 61. Like
Yeah,
go
that's true.
and where they shoot a freaking minus 20, minus 25. There is a part of me that kind of wants to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add. Like you make a good point. It is interesting both ways. Is when you do see guys winning tournaments by a score with a -2 score, that doesn't always give you the full appreciation. But then when you go see someone drop 30 or go 25 under, maybe that helps you realize, wait a minute, they really are that good at golf. But you also think to yourself, well, if you're getting a birdie every hole, what's the point?
Right.
So I don't know. That's all I really have to say about the Travelers in golf right now. It's not a major week, so not much more to say.
Yeah, no, I only brought it up because I was just thinking about my Sunday agenda, and that just kind of crossed it. Like I said, the Cup game. In other news, the weekend of the champion, the Ole Miss Rebels won the College World Series for baseball. They won the 2 out of 3 game series. They won both games. Crazy game Sunday afternoon. They were down 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th. They got a hit to start. I want to say there was a hit again that got him first and third. And then there was a wild pitch to tie the game. And then there was another wild pitch and then a hit to score 2 more runs after that. So 2 wild pitches were basically the reason they gave up 3 runs, Oklahoma, that is, and then they ended up going 1-2-3 in the top of the 9th, losing 4-2. It was multiple replays that Oklahoma got runs taken off the board because of. So it was kind of a high flying game for a 4-2 game that was 2-1 in like the 8th. It was actually a very entertaining game. I only watched that part. That's only why I mention it. Ole Miss, awesome story. You don't really think Cinderella because they're kind of a blue blood for baseball. They were 7-14 at one point in the SEC. They finished second to last in the entire conference. They were the second to last team to be awarded an at-large berth. So they were kind of behind the 8 ball the whole year. They were only a couple of games above 500. Like I said, 14-16, I think, is what they went in the SEC, which was last in the SEC West. So kind of a Cinderella story from a non-Cinderella program, I guess. Mm-hmm. Also, Mike Bianco, the Ole Miss coach, if you ever need like motivational speeches, look him up on YouTube. Great speaker, knows what he's talking about, has a great message for those guys. So I always see them win. I usually root for.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to add. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I watched the College World Series this weekend.
Fair enough. All right, our final segment. Everyone's favorite segment. I have all 17 people that listen to this. They tell me how much they love our list. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us who wins these things. Tell us who's better. Tell us why I'm so much better at making lists than Vlad.
I don't know, man. I feel like you lost all credibility to kind of talk like that after I just mopped the floor in the Jordan LeBron debate with you. You know, it's just it's one of those things. But yeah, so for kind of debate this week, it's not really much more so a debate, more of just like a talk about life, kind of maybe leaving the realm of sports. And you just kind of want to talk about those kind of like top 5 things that change in a person's life after leaving college. So
yeah, so my list is kind of like those things that like, oh, you're out of college when, it's been a little over a year now. Well, 6 months for Vladi, a little over a year.
Yep.
For me. Since we've been in undergrad. I mean, I'm going back to school in the fall. But yeah, so life changes and we've started to know that. So I don't really didn't go rank them necessarily.
I don't think you can rank them. I think it's just noticeable changes in life.
So this one might not necessarily apply to you, but hangovers that last multiple days, I feel like that wasn't really a thing for me in school. And now that I get older, 22 going on 23, I'm sure I'll laugh at this when I see this recording when I'm 33. It does happen to me. And so that is my first one.
Yeah, you're correct. I am legally required to let everyone know that I do not get hungover. It is a great skill, and it is very nice. However, I obviously am not delusional. I know there will be a time when it happens, and I am. We'll burn that bridge when we cross it.
Right.
Maybe I'll make a big group chat with all my friends that I've ever gloated to about my powers and say I'm really sorry for ever making fun of you guys, and I'll probably ask why you guys ever drank to begin with. That's how you feel like the morning after. But I guess one of I guess the first noticeable change that I kind of found was for me, at least personally, now that I've started working, is I have money, but I have no time, as opposed to where college you had time without money.
Right.
I think it's just kind of that role reversal where I sit here every month. I made myself a little budget sheet, and I'm able to kind of like max out retirement accounts and certain things that I want to do with financially, and still be left over with a hefty amount of spending money per month. But now I just don't have the time to spend that money because I'm working, and then after that I go to the gym, and then I come home, and it's like, oh well, here we go. And then on the weekends, you take it easy one weekend, or you take it easy 2 weekends, and then where's the time left now? So I guess that's kind of the biggest thing that I took away.
No, that's a good one. So mine was, again, this is when I feel like this is a very like boys thing, not so much girls. You have a group chat with the boys to talk about sports. In school, when you're with the fellas up at campus, usually you're around each other and don't really need that. You're in the dorms. You live around campus. You see each other multiple times a week. You don't really need to. But when you get guys that move back home from out of state, they move out of state. I know my dad does. I know that I do. Having that group chat with the boys, you're all watching a big game. You can send that text. It's a little bit of a safer space than like tweeting something. But it's a good intermediary, especially for me. I can let out some aggression with the text of the boys instead of tweeting something that I probably shouldn't. So
I do like that a lot. I know that's something that I love using. I love messing with you guys. Anytime there's a hockey debate, is send some stupid passive aggressive thing to maybe elicit a reaction from one of you guys. And hey, sometimes you take the bait, and I get a lot of fun out of it.
It's really good entertainment because like you can only like, especially when like you can really only text like someone one-on-one so much. Like only so much you can say one-on-one. When you can get a debate going in a group chat.
Oh yeah.
A good day passer when you're having a boring day at work, or you're like, I don't know what else is boring in your life, but boring stuff comes up all the time. I feel like you're at church. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I guess the next thing I had on my list was just, you kind of need to find that you need to find hobbies. You need to find stuff to kind of take your mind off of work once you're kind of into work, because if you don't, I think there's a very short road to burnout. And with me personally, I've taken up going to the gym almost every day. We do this podcast. I try and play golf, and it's just one of those things where you finish school, and now that you're kind of your free time is less, you need to make sure you utilize it.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Very, very mature one.
I hate myself for saying this kind of mature stuff. I want to be 17 again, saying dumb stuff with all my buddies.
My next one, my third one, is most of your time with the boys is on the golf course. I mean, not everyone has a golf course hobby, but kind of what Vladi mentioned is you're going to school a lot, or going to work a lot. You come home, you don't really have time to do stuff during the week. Everybody's doing stuff during the day. So it's like Saturday, what do? You got to have a hobby. It's boys' day on the course. You can only go out with the girlfriend so many times golfing.
Yeah.
You got to go out with the boys.
Yeah. For the next one that I had, and this is something I've kind of noticed in the 6 months post graduation, is I just have less interest now in shoulder to shoulder bars. That kind of college thing where you're jumping up and down on the dance floor and melting because the body temperature of everyone is collecting, and instead of room temperature being 75, it's now 95, because that's just how it goes. I have less interest in that. I kind of like your more sit down. You don't have to scream at each other to be able to hear. You don't have to deal with the underage kids who think they're funny. I don't know, maybe that's like very old man yell at clouds take of me, but I just have I have less interest in that now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I would say I have less interest for sure. I would say I don't have no interest.
Yeah, I'm not saying that either.
And I feel like in 5 years from now, I'm gonna have even less, and then 5 years from now, I'm gonna have even less. So, my fourth one is, and this kind of applies to me, but I feel like this is kind of a boomer thing that I do. It might be, I mean, people can probably relate. Is falling asleep before 10 p.m. during the week.
Oh boy.
I very rarely make it past 10 o'clock during the week. The weekends, I'll be up all night. I'll be up till midnight. Even if I don't have anything going on, I'll stay up. But the week, I sit at a desk for work. It's the most enjoyable thing I've ever done with my life. But I've never been like a stay up late kind of guy. But yeah, I have a problem. It's called going to sleep early. And I feel like it gotten worse from my college days when I would, like, especially in my first couple of years of college, when I would like just stay up till 2 a.m. playing Fortnite on a Tuesday. Days are long gone.
Yeah. I guess the next one I had was I guess kind of diversification of life, where I feel like post college is the first time in our lives where we're really we have the freedom to do whatever we want. We're like, when you're growing up in grade school, you're pushed on to the next grade, and you're pushed on to the next grade, and you're pushed on to the next grade, all while being groomed for college. And then you get to college and you're pushed on to your next year of college, and you're pushed on to your next year of college. And then once it finally ends and I don't want to call it like structure, but like once the structure kind of fades away and you're into life doing whatever it is you want to do or need to do to kind of progress. I think it's just the diversification of life is massive. There's certain things that like I used to do freshman, sophomore, like you mentioned, you're not playing Xbox at 3 a.m. anymore because you got work the next day, or you're not going around on a random Tuesday night to the bars with your buddies to get hammered because you got work in the morning or because something else is going on. You have responsibilities now. So just not really playing the kids game. This is, I guess, a good way to encompass this whole statement.
Yeah, you can find your own kind of structure. Like everyone can find their own structure, and there's like a very large, or there's a very diverse range of what that structure can look like.
Yep.
So my last one is something I learned, or something came to me, like having a lot of family in town, friends for my sister's grad party this weekend, and my brother, who is still in school, I like watched him have the most painful conversation because he couldn't really talk about it. And I was like, I pulled him aside. I was like, dude, you need to have this, like, just like, doesn't even have to be correct. You need to have your elevator pitch to what your career plan is going to be. Like what you're doing, you need to be able to talk about that and what you want to do with it, whether that's school, the current job, what you want to do after your current job, what your dream job is. Just having that basic elevator pitch is so important to just having like any type of conversation that we have now. So not being able to have that just little pitch makes like everything awkward, I think.
Yeah. That's actually that's pretty good. I think that's kind of, I feel like we're saying kind of very similar things over and over between all of our topics, just with like different phrases. It's just kind of the whole maturation and growing up thing. It's like for my last thing, I kind of just said like I've kind of noticed that like there's really less time for quote unquote like parties, where if I'm getting together with friends now, it's not so much drink until you pass out anymore. It's have a couple casuals while you're sitting around the pool table, or have a bonfire, drink a couple casuals. It's just less, that there's less like full on party experiences now that from the stuff, or as opposed to the stuff that we might have done the first 3-4 years of school. Especially when it's like not in the summer. Like summer's a little different because it's like fourth grad parties. Yeah, grad parties go up north. Up north. Like the summer's a little different. I think like the summer is kind of where adults, or what I've learned is adults get in most of their partying, because in the winter there just like isn't as much to do. Yeah, they're hibernating. Yeah, exactly. But so that's our list. That was probably the most depressing thing you've ever heard. If you're under the age of 22, I'm sorry.
but your life is going to suck very soon. It's actually not. It's great, but it does suck at the same time. So yeah, I think that's all I got for you. I mean, we'll talk next week. Let us know what you want to talk about now that we are kind of dead with sports, with hockey. Basketball's been done for a couple weeks now. Like pretty much everything but regular season baseball is going on right now, which I'll start to do some brief baseball stuff on the next pod. But other than that, we're going to need stuff to talk about. So let us know what you want us to talk about.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. With the dead period, this is where we need kind of the, I want to say guidance, but throw an idea out that maybe we haven't thought of. Throw something that you might see interesting, that other people might see interesting. Let us know what you'd find fun, and we'll that way we can keep up the kind of the extended content. I don't really want to start going down to like 15-20 minute weekly episodes. I'd rather keep them longer now that we can throw it on the Spotify. So interact, let us know, whether it be through text, through comments, telling us in person. Let us know, and I guess we'll see you guys next week. And any last words from you?
No, if you don't like what I say, just chirp me in person or in the comments. I don't care. Hit them hard, boys.
All right. Bye, everybody.